Happy FridAI, everybody. This week we have got some tools that are specific for our industry and also a freebie at the end, so make sure you stick around. This week, as I say, we have got tools that do your reconciliations, tools that onboard payroll starters, tools that turn your meetings into proposals, and then some really sad news from Intuit, who have cut a lot of jobs, but they have said it's nothing to do with AI. Suspicious me, never. Anyway, here is where I cut through the fuss and get to the facts on the big bad world of AI and what it means for us as accountants, bookkeepers, and finance professionals. So let's crack on. So this one has raised a few eyebrows. Intuit, the lot behind QuickBooks and MailChimp and over in the US TurboTax, are cutting around 17% of their global workforce. So that's about 3,000 people gone. And before I kind of go into the story here, I do want to say my thoughts are completely with those people through what's going to be a really, really tough time. But the reason given is where, for me, it gets a little bit murky. So the internal memo that Reuters somehow managed to get hold of said that the cuts were to sharpen focus on its key bets, including its AI efforts. So it's there in black and white. But then the CEO, Sasan Goudazi, I always get a bit tongue-tied with that one, went on the telly, so he actually went on CNBC, I think it was, and said none of it has to do with AI. Right. The memo says it's AI, the CEO says it's not. You can make your own mind up on that one. But a little bit of context here, just so that you get the bigger picture. Over 140 tech companies have laid off more than 114,000 people so far this year, so just in 2026. And a lot of them are blaming AI efficiency. So you're talking Amazon, Pinterest, Meta, they just did 8,000. And when it comes to this story, do remember this is the same Intuit that just a few weeks ago announced that QuickBooks and TurboTax are now going into Claude and ChatGPT. So whatever the official line is, they've clearly decided to go big on AI whilst getting kind of smaller on their headcount. So when the big names in the finance software start trimming thousands of people from jobs and pouring money into it, it really does make you think about where the work is going. And I'm not saying AI is coming for your job, but I've said it before, it is coming for the boring bits of your job, and you should definitely take advantage. If you're some sort of bureau or firm and your entire value is around we do great data entry, I think it's going to be really hard to stand out amongst the crowd. So you really need to think about what you offer on top of that. Which I guess is a nice segue into the next story, actually. So you might remember Mimo, so the Swedish fintech, money in, money out, big in the payments and month-end space. And I think quite a lot of UK firms are using them now. Their AI agent, Mimo Associate, they launched it a month or so ago, has just stretched into proper reconciliation territory. Up to now, it's been really good at the payment side, invoice capture, payment runs, matching things off, so on. But now it's tying up control accounts, and not just the easy ones. So we're talking about kind of like the bank, aged debtors, director's loan account, and VAT control account. I think it also includes fixed assets, payroll liabilities, but some of these will be so handy. I know that, especially if I think back to those VAT control accounts, I definitely went for a few extra coffee breaks those days. So the agent extracts the data, it matches the documents to the transactions, and it gets everything tied up. And then, same as everything we're seeing this year, it leaves the human to review and approve it before it actually does any moving and kind of creates those changes. The one stat that I think I read that made my little ears prick up, where one firm had said that they allocate 70% of their fee budget to month-end processes. 70%. So anything chipping away at that is going to be a big deal. And essentially, as a firm, it's just going to go straight to your bottom line. I'm not going to go into the whole cost versus value of these agents, but the maths would 100% stack in favour of the tech in these type of scenarios, surely. So just take note here, AI is creeping further up the value chain. Last year, AI tools did the easy stuff, sort of like the matching, and now they're kind of having to go at control accounts that I reckon this time last year, a lot of you will have said, no, that has to be a human eye. I would say as well, don't panic, but do go and have a look, because The firms that are going to get good at supervising these agents and letting them kind of do majority of the work are the ones that are going to be pushing ahead. Right, so one for the payroll people. This is for you. Bright, the Bright Pay lot, have launched an AI agent called Oscar. And I just love how people are naming these agents now. It is such a smart use of AI, to be fair, and I am fully on board with this. So, you know the absolute misery of onboarding a new starter. If you're in payroll, you'll completely understand kind of chasing for P45s, the bank details, proof of address, national insurance number, the admin nightmare of emails that like just go into the void, half-filled forms, wrong information, then you've got to rekey it all manually. Well, Oscar does the whole lot, and it does it over WhatsApp. So you don't have an app to download, there's none of that friction, there's no portal, there's no forms, there's no mismatched emails. The new starter can have a natural conversation with Oscar, so Oscar will ask what's needed and then chases anything that the new starter hasn't sent. Then it will extract the data, drop it into the payroll system, perfectly formatted, ready for review. It has been reported that these figures are a little bit off for me. So it's been reported that this process can take up to 7 days and now can take half an hour. I don't know if that means collectively rather than continually working on it for 7 days, but you have to think here that this AI is working 24/7. So if that new starter wants to do that kind of admin on a Sunday night and that suits them, then great, it can do that. What I love about this is that I feel like Bright have found a really specific, boring problem and then solved it. So it's not AI is going to transform your whole practice. It's AI is going to stop you from sending 4 chaser emails. And don't forget, when we send those chaser emails, we have to then check what we've received and make sure that we haven't got something and we're not chasing something that we already have. So it does take time. I do believe actually that it takes more time than you'll realise. So if you do payroll and you're on BrightPay, this is worth a proper look for sure. Last one, and it's definitely a good one, especially if you're anything like me and you hate that kind of after client meeting admin. So you know the drill, you have a meeting, it goes really well, the client's on board, you've scoped it, you've agreed it, and then you've got to go and open your proposal tool, you've got to retype everything, you've got to rebuild the service list from memory from what they've said. You then second guess the price that you've literally agreed with them 20 minutes ago. Well, Vinyl is going to help with all of that. So that's the AI note taker. I talk about them all the time. And they're launching an integration with Ignition to kill that gap entirely. And in terms of how it works, it's going to sit in your meeting, transcribe it as normal. Then you just hit one button, create proposal, and it drafts the whole thing in Ignition. Like, that is it. Plus, it'll pull your actual services, your actual current price list, everything that's yours, it will pull through. And I'm pretty sure there's something about an intro that's going to be written from exactly what was discussed. So it looks very much like it's you writing it. It also goes about saying that nothing goes to the client without you seeing it first. But as if it couldn't get any better, the chef's kiss here for me is that say you're sat in a meeting with a client that's around tax and payroll gets discussed, or advisory creeps into sort of a compliance meeting, and what happens usually is it just goes unbilled because no one could be bothered to write a whole proposal about it. Vinyl reads the client's existing Ignition agreement. It can see in the conversation when it drifts out of scope, and then it will flag it to you. And so essentially that extra work that you're doing will be kind of quoted and billed pretty much straight away. So one person had said that they think this is going to save them around 30 to 40 minutes per client because it's now just in one click. It is in beta. It is rolling out to those of you that are using Vinyl and Ignition first. Obviously that makes sense. And there is a waiting list, but if you want to get on that, I will pop a link in the comments. And finally, Rob Fawcett over at AI Compliance is giving away an AI use policy for free. So this is the freebie that I'd mentioned. An AI use policy it's just like a written set of rules that tells everyone in your firm how they're allowed to use AI. And it's basically what's allowed, what isn't. It covers things like what tools are approved, how you're supposed to handle client data, who's accountable, and it kind of helps with what happens when things go wrong. I've been saying it for a very long time that your firm needs to have an AI policy. So a few reasons why. So first of all, the law. So UK GDPR, there's a new ICO AI code of practice that came into force just this month, and they all expect you to show that you're managing AI responsibly. So without a policy, you can't really show anything. Secondly is liability. So God forbid, picture this, a member of staff drops client data in some random unapproved AI tool and there's a breach, and your insurer asks you, well, did you have an AI policy in place? If your answer is no, I think that's going to be quite an expensive word. And then thirdly, trust. Obviously, clients are starting to ask now before their data is handed over to you, what are you going to do with it? So a clear published policy that flips that whole conversation, your clients can see it if they want to, suddenly makes it not so much of a worry and more of a, okay, that's the reason I want to pick that firm. So go and grab Rob's free AI policy. There's no reason not to, I guess, so I'll pop the link up below. Right then, that is your lot from me. Whether this has excited you or worried you, drop me in the comments. I love to always hear what you think of FridAI, and I will catch you next week.